Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and you see that correctly. That is a Dread Saurian, along with a front line of Temple Guard and some just normal Saurus warriors in the back, with a Slann Priest of Life. Now, you'll be wondering, okay, that's a pretty cool opponent for my army, but actually, surprise, surprise, that's what I'm playing today. I'm going to bring the Death Star today, and my opponent will be the Vampire Counts. I also bring a little Colossadon Hunters with Ripper Deck, the anti-large little flying Pterodon Riders. It's pretty cool. They're really good against like Terrageists or even zombie dragons with a little bit of support. I just wanted it so that I can't be harassed too often by the Terrageist. Now, how is my opponent going to respond to the Death Star of Mighty Death? It's just like, look at the stats on this Shredder of Lustria. Yes, I did bring the most expensive one here. 750 weapon strength with 64 melee attack and pretty low melee defense. And poison missile damage from the Skink Howdah on its back. You really can't go wrong. Actually, you can. These things are way too expensive. Just take my word for it. But against the Vampire matchup and the Chaos matchup, I believe is essentially the only time you can bring the Dread Saurians, because they're just projectiles are just a tad bit too effective. Maybe Beastmen you can bring to the Dread Saurian. But overall, my Vampire Count army opponent is not going to have any projectiles because guess what? They can't bring any. So zombies on the front line with the Tithe, really just standard fare. Sternsmen, really fantastic long-lasting infantry units along with some Grave Guard. What is this plan for grinding me down? You got the Claw of Nagash along with a Necromancer, and I believe it's a Blood Dragon. Yeah, Blood Dragon Vampire Lord for that amazing, I believe it's the sword. Where is that ability right there? I know he has a really fantastic Sword of Antiheroes. It's not the Sword of Antiheroes that makes it fantastic. It's the Helm of Discord right there, reducing melee attack and melee defense. One unit of Blood Knights and a Terrageist, which is what I'm expecting. A lot of anti-large power here, but he's going to have to fight a Dread Saurian. It's going to be tough, and he doesn't have Wind of Death, which no one really brings in multiplayer, and I guess that's really the only effective way to deal with my boxy strats here. Now, my Temple Guard are going to be moving forward at a breakneck pace of like 1 mile per hour as they walk forward. And I'm going to get some great shots here with the Howdah. The poison projectiles reduce the armor piercing damage and armor speed and everything essentially that's useful on a unit so effectively, and just that's really what I love about the normal Dread Saurian and the Regiment of Renowned Dread Saurian. The Dread Saurian's just going to do what Dread Saurians do best, and my opponent should be scared. He really should be. Like, this is a line of zombies, and you see this gigantic crocodile just about to eat you, and he's just roaring. He's not even charging it, which I'm going to send in quite promptly, because you got to wait for the infantry to support him, because he gets surrounded, you're done for. Now, the Howdah is beginning to fire into the lines of zombies and Grave Guard, and here comes the initial charge. It's beautiful. Look, it's just majestic art. This is why I love Warhammer, guys. Now, the frontline engagement is going to begin. Now, that charge was only in some zombies. It's really not worth anything whatsoever, and I really need to make sure I need to get rid of the Claw of Nagash and the Terrageist. Those two things are extremely effective against the Shredder of Lustria, along with the Blood Knights. Now, I'm going to have a 1v1 fight in terms of units with the Colossadon Hunters and the Terrageists. Colossadon Hunters do have their Toad Rage popped, but the Helm of Discord is also going to pop. So it's going to make it quite tough. But they also get Shield of the Old Ones damage resistance. It's a buff off, ladies and gentlemen. So all these buffs, who's going to win? It's actually going to be the Terrageist, because the the upgraded Invocation the Heck is going to keep him alive, and my healing, I do have a Life Slann, but Life Slanns do not bring back unit models. So every time he gets a swipe and I lose a a Ripperdactyl Rider, I can't bring that back, but he can heal the Terrageist up to full, no problem. Now, this monster mash of a just huge-ass Dread Saurian is taking its hits and hitting the Mortis engine, which I really need. Now, the animations of the Dread Saurian are a little odd. Sometimes he'll swipe right or swipe left way more than he really should, and the Claw of Nagash is one of the most slippery units, or at least slippery large units in the game. because of that reduction to speed that it gives is its aura. Now, a banishment going off here, I'm only using it so I can take off the chaff, because I really don't want the Shredder of Lustre to be fighting chaff here. He is fighting the Graveguard, which is nice, so Graveguard should be a great fight for me. And I do have one unit of Temple Guard not engaging here because I simply don't need them to stop any sort of charge from the Blood Knights. Now, my opponent is chasing off my Colossadon Hunters. The combination of the Blood Dragon, Vampire Lord, and the Terrorgeist was simply too much, and he is going to attempt to get a rear charge while I take out my Star Chamber Guardians and try to surround the Blood Knights. But you'll find that the Blood Knights are just a little too fast for me. I try to move my units, I spam right-click to try to get them, but I should have, in hindsight, moved them back around here and then engage them so they can get stuck in position. But fighting Temple Guard in any manner is going to give them some quite serious HP damage that's going to need healing. Now, another Helm of Discord proc going off here, and the Shredder of Lustria is going to take some serious debuffs, and he's having a little bit of a, let's say, an animation problem, right? He is going to start 1v1ing the Terrorgeist, I guess 2v1ing along with the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, and another shield of the old ones are going to go down, along with some healing magic to keep the Shredder up and topped. So he's going to start fighting now that the Helm of Discord is no longer procced. He is going to start squishing everybody, and I believe the second he hits somebody, wow, look how much damage the projectiles did. It did like a solid 5% just in like one volley. Now make sure, guys, when you do bring the Shredder of Lustria, Earthblood is fantastic, but I believe Regrowth is actually the way to go because it increases the vigor of the unit. And make sure it doesn't get exhausted, which is very important in this kind of matchup. And the Shredder is going to start biting. Look how tiny the Terrorgeist is compared to this mighty beast. If only he had Marcus Wolfhard, right? That's what you need to kill these things. And the Terrorgeist is going to fall with not a real issue. You can already see it's crumbling, and the combat ensues. Look, I believe 1 or 2 more hits with the Dread Saurian, and that should be a death. A dead Terrorgoose. Now, I am wasting my time here fighting the zombies. It's a really great play by my opponent, actually, to try to stop my Dread Saurian as much as possible, but I get wise to this, and I will be going after the Corpse Cart and the Claw of Nagash. Now, it's really tough. The Claw of Nagash will just scoot on over and go away because that's what he does. And Dread Saurian actually ends up hitting the Corpse Cart instead, and it's going to like 3-shot it. Another banishment to deal with all this chaff. I really don't want to deal with it, and banishment is essentially the best way to deal with all this cheap units that I don't want to deal with. And the Terrorgeist, being as bold as it wants to be, charges back against the Great Dread Saurian. But just a few smacks from this good old beast, and it'll be done for. And another monster cinematic, as I do send in my Temple Guard and Saurus Warriors to support. Another shield of the old ones going down, because you can't go wrong with a good old shield with damage reductions. And even my Life Slan is getting into the action. Oh, a little clipping there. But yeah. Now my opponent, the balance of power is firmly in my favor, and even though the Dread Saurian has taken a beating, and he's very tired already, even with the regrowth, 185 kills, only 4,000 hit points left, but don't worry about that. Another, I believe, since I've already used, another regrowth going down. I had enough Winds of Magic for that, fantastic. And he's already back to fresh. That's a fresh Shredder of Lustria, 7 minutes in the game. You really can't deal with that. And my opponent will concede. Pretty happy. You don't get to see the Shredder of Lustria that often. I keep on tongue twisting myself, but it just makes me happy being able to actually use the unit, because let's be honest, this unit just isn't good. Like 196 kills, really great number, but if I fight any projectile faction, or if my opponent brought 2 Terrorgeists, I think that Shredder would be dead. Helm of Discord plus 2 Terrorgeists, and the Blood Knights didn't do so well as they were kept on cycle charging into Temple Guard, which are like, well, Temple Guard, cycle charging is the fantastic play. The Temple Guard are just so good against Blood Knights. You'll find that Temple Guard spam is just a little too good against vampires. Vampires are a little too limited in their roster. So yeah, it's definitely a loss that I definitely cheesed this one. I think this is definite cheese. Death Starring with Temple Guard and Shredder of Lustria, it just changes every patch. Like a few patches before, it's the Croak Death Star. few patches before that, it's just the Carnosaur Death Star. Now it's the Shredder of Lustria Death Star. But a little note here for you guys. Don't actually bring the Shredder of Lustria into this matchup because the super cool thing about the Lustria Regiment of Renown is that he has an aura that debuffs leadership. Very, very nice when fighting Beastmen or Chaos. So, but not so good against vampires, which vampires don't rout, right? It makes them disintegrate and crumble a little bit faster, but that's really not worth it. So if you want to bring the Dreadsaurian, bring the normal version or the feral one. Don't actually bring this one. I only brought this one because it looked cool, and I was pretty confident that even though how much my opponent may try, he's not going to take down the mighty Shredder of Lustria. So guys, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want more. I'll catch you guys later.